innocuous, moronic tripe for computer dweebs.
All true.
Yes.
Yet another cheeseball California take on the future. The future in the eyes of some sleazeball movie producers trying to cash in on some boring segment of society. Hacker kids.
Also still true. Also, this music bangs.
I can't believe the woman who played the shrink on The Sopranos had to lower herself to be in this piece of garbage. How sad.
Wait, who is that?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Lorraine Bracco. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. That was a 1-star review from IMDb. Hello and welcome to Spoilers Intended, a podcast about series and films. I'm Ryan, and joined as always by the keyboard cowboy, Andrew.
You're not using my handle, man. It's big acrylic.
Big acrylic. And the only man that's 3 times more powerful than a Pentium, Steven.
Man, that's such an insult nowadays.
At best, he's 3 times more powerful than a Pentium. And in this episode, we're reviewing the 100% accurate and very real documentary that is 1995's Hackers.
This is definitely what hacking looks like.
Hack the planet.
Definitely what hacking looks like, or at least what
Absolutely.
dreamed hacking looks like.
This is what, okay, we'll get into this. This is going to be a roundtable episode.
Yeah,
Let me just say that up top.
there's no reason to have
Spoilers begin right now.
We have hacked the episode. There is no spoiler wall. We're going all out from the top.
It's a glitch in the Matrix.
Who cares? It's Hackers. This is one of the gloriously bad movies of all time.
This
if you haven't watched it,
classic.
watch it, please.
For all the wrong
So
reasons.
before we get into it,
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to make sure I put that Prodigy song on my playlist.
Do it.
It's a really
Man,
good song.
It's a really good song.
Especially when you're hacking, it really helps.
Oh, you see
when E equals MC squared is flying
When the
past
Latin
your face.
symbols start flying around your face.
Man, let me tell you, they paid for those graphics, and the director was like, by God, we're getting our money's worth.
100%.
Play it again.
Yeah. So in this episode, we're just going to do a roundtable discussion. We're talking about Hackers. We had a lot of fun with this one. We're going to just discuss it. Spoilers are everywhere. So if you care about spoilers for the 1995
For an
movie
almost 30-year-old film.
then bounce and watch it and come back. Otherwise, just stick around. You can hear the spoilers and still watch the movie, and it'll still be a lot of fun.
be
You might
the
actually get
exact
more
same
enjoyment
You might
out of
get
it.
more out of it. It's fine. Yes.
What's the synopsis for this?
Please, yes. Please
Okay,
tell me there's
here's a quick synopsis. Teenage hackers discover a criminal conspiracy with plans to use a computer virus that will capsize 5 oil tankers.
Cool.
End of description.
Okay, so when... Well, let me...
It should have just said
real quick.
fever dream. Is what it
Do you
should
have a budget for this?
Yes, I have. Let me get into it. Let's see. The budget was $20 million.
Okay, wow, it's actually a lot cheaper than I was expecting.
It made a domestic haul of $7.5 million. With no international release.
I was thinking you were gonna give us a number that was in the hundreds of thousands, not millions. Actually,
No, yeah. So, this was released in 1995, September 15th to be exact. It was directed by Ian Softley, which it's spelled like Lane, but he's I think Scottish or Irish. So it's it's Ian, who directed K-Pax. So that gives you the terrible Kevin Spacey.
I actually remember that movie. I saw that in theaters.
Bless your bones. He directed Inkheart, which
I've never heard of that.
a bunch of Tony Braxton music videos.
Sure.
And then something called The Skeleton Key with Kate Hudson from the mid-aughts. And I'm like, wow. Written by some dude that wrote for the Lone Gunman TV series, and that was about it. Everything on this, other than obviously the actors like Johnny Lee Miller, Angelina Jolie, Matthew Lillard, these people,
So
Fisher
they
Stevens,
went on to-
they would go on.
This was actually her third film?
This is Angelina Jolie's first starring
role, but third. Yeah, I'm sure she was in.
Yeah.
Well, she was in a bunch of music videos too.
Yeah.
She was 20
years old.
Out,
She's
yeah.
20 years old. So first off, before we're doing roundtable, but let's get just real quick overall thoughts and impressions. Now, me and Steven, we've seen Hackers before. Andrew, this was your first time.
seen
Andrew,
Hackers.
I want to go right to Andrew.
Andrew
I
was
want
a
you
virgin.
to describe your Hackers experience to me right now.
So when I first started this movie, because obviously you guys have hyped it up quite a bit, just for being absolutely absurd.
Hype is far too generous.
No, like
hyped up how
Like, just hyped how absurd it is.
So when we presented this to Andrew, and we just didn't have the time in the schedule, we wanted this to be a commentary.
Yeah. Sure.
As a bonus episode.
I was like, we should drink alcohol and watch this
buck
together.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, like, going into this, I was expecting it to just be insane the entire time. However, the first, like, I'll say half of the film
It starts out so grounded.
is pretty grounded.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
there's some weird,
some stuff going on.
idiosyncrasies that happen, but it's mostly I'm like, okay, like I can forgive this for being like a 90s film. It's kind of ridiculous.
The government's treating hackers like they're smuggling nuclear warheads. They respond with SWAT teams.
Dude, we see like 6 SWAT raids in this film. Like, I don't think The Raid, the movie The Raid, has as many raids as this film has.
Well, keep going.
So then you get to the second half of the film where they have the hacking competition to harass the main like
the
DA
Secret
or whatever.
The Secret Service, whoever.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, this is what this is. And then you get to the last half of the last quarter of the film, and you're just like, oh, all bets are off. Everything's off. They gave up
insane.
a long time ago.
Well, I like how you're like, the first half is reasonably well. It has these 2 just total actual fever dreams in the middle of it that are just quintessential. What is wrong with you in the 90s moments? Like, this kind of thing happened in films in the 80s and the 90s all the time, and nobody questioned it. And you watch it now, and you're just like, what were you doing? Who said this was good?
For me, every time I watch it, I like it a little more just because it's so absurd. Because this should be studied in like film classes.
I hope
of
it is.
Just like choices that were made, because there are scenes in this movie that just happen. And you're like, what is this?
Who decided, did we just add this because we needed more runtime?
Yeah, where did this come from and what does this serve?
So there's a couple scenes with the main character.
They don't have enough chemistry. Make them have dreams about each other.
Drake?
No.
Duke?
I'm looking it up. No, it starts with a D. I'm looking it up.
Dane?
Dane.
Yeah. So there's
Classic
a couple of
90s
scenes
name.
where Dane's just like kind of like watching something happen, and then he'll just
Dade.
go,
D-A-D.
oh,
Dade.
like, and he'll just Dade. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has an almost like slack-jawed yokel stare to him.
Or crash override, please.
Zero cool.
Zero cool, if you will, sir. But what? Now he's watching scenes.
No,
and
he's just, like, he'll just be in a scene and something will happen, and he'll like kind of look at it, and then he'll just like whoa,
Overreact. Yeah.
like what?
Well, this is a movie. This could have been just like an amazing stoner comedy, except it's not. It's just apparently maybe some of them were stoned
That's
while making
basically
it.
Grandma's Boy.
They were like, Matthew Lillard, you're here, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, you're stoned, right? He's like, yeah. They're like, just show up on set. You're set. You're set.
I like
like,
Serial as a character.
He's like, but what if
yeah.
my hair
his
is
little,
like
his like really
dreads?
small
His terrible
sunglasses.
glasses.
So there's a TikToker that wears those, and he makes EDM music out of just like random sounds.
Of course he does.
Oh, it's like fail compilations where people like slap the ground. It's like,
No, like his,
Oh, not that dude.
no,
that'd be
he'll
amazing.
basically hear like dripping of like a faucet, and then
okay.
he'll turn that into an EDM beat with other like
So what you're-
household items.
So what you're saying is that guy is doing the prerequisite thing to make an EDM song. He's on drugs.
Yes, yeah, it's honestly awesom.
The best
he
part-
has those glasses.
I think
I mean, like,
this movie should have won an Academy Award for the costuming.
okay, no, I'm not gonna lie. The costuming is incredible.
So there's one moment where he's like they're in like the hacking competition. He's walking through the high school and he has this like he's wearing like cargo pants and then he has
The red thing.
like this little red.
It's like a garter belt slash holster that holds his pager. I
It's
think.
like a hip sleeve.
Yeah.
It like
I think his
covers.
pager's connected
I
to it.
literally cackled.
Yes.
It's like a third of a chaps of a pair of chaps.
There are so many scenes in this movie where like the scene starts and I see what someone is wearing and I howled out loud.
Well, it's like they're like, so what's the costuming budget? He's like, oh, I got some friends who have a big burlesque show. They're just gonna let us go through their
No,
stuff.
I kid
Lovely.
you not. It feels like when they were doing the costuming for this, they went to the costume designer and was like, I want the most 90s thing you can find.
Yeah.
And they're like, but we're in the 90s.
And they go,
everything's the 90s.
Exactly.
We need it.
Look, man, what's the stuff that everyone turned down that y'all ordered and like no one wants
It's
to wear
like they
this?
went
We
to
want
like
that.
a French fashion show and picked up
Yes,
all
no,
the...
what it looks like, it looks like what you see when they're like, this is what men's fashion is, and the dude's wearing pants up to his nose.
Yeah.
And they went out, they're like, I want that, I want that. Everything this dude's wearing on the runway, just strip him right now, take it with us, you know?
He's got like the jacket that he wears throughout has like the weird shoulder
pads and with the piping. What is that?
A shirt he's wearing like at the end when they go on their date, and it's just like tattered shreds of like it could almost be like a Mistborn cloak. It's just little rips and shreds of it.
And he's just wearing
put that on. Like your mom let you go out the door with that on?
No, the costumer on set put that on and went, perfect. You look so cool.
So the scene in Rush Hour when they go to get suits at Vegas, and he's like, ooh, and you primal, I want to just drape you in fur. Like that, they hired that guy to clone all these people.
Just to completely do it. There's so many scenes in this movie that just happen that I adore, right? One of them, obviously, is when he's got to give the plague the disc, and then this limousine... For those that haven't seen it, all right, the plague has got some kind of garbage file.
The plague is a character.
The plague is a character.
Yeah, it's not a virus.
Played by Fisher Stevens, who was like everyone's nerd in like the 80s and stuff.
He's the main antagonist of the film. Yeah, he rolls up. So this is on a dark street.
A dark street.
With
There's
like
fog.
It's
steam.
the New York steam coming up off the road. You're like, this could be a scene straight. Like this could have been the Ninja Turtles could have been filming like
100%.
Oh yeah. I mean, Shredder's standing there.
Limousine comes out of the fog, and there is a dude ghost riding the whip on this limousine on his skateboard for no reason.
And he skates past. Snatches the disc,
and then goes right back to ghost riding the whip
back to holding
into the steam on the other side and disappears into the night.
It's like Dane or whatever, like he has a moment of holy crap, we're actually filming this. Oh, I need to chase after him, and then he like runs like 4 steps and stops.
Yeah, it's they jump into a dumpster that's got to smell like garbage, and then decide maybe we should have a romantic moment. What
if this should be erotic?
Then they end the scene by a security guard yelling at them, and Angelina Jolie shoots a flare gun at this man unprompted from nowhere, and then they just leave, and the scene ends.
He asked her about it, and she calls it her subway gun.
What are you talking about?
Can you imagine firing off a flare gun in a subway car?
What is happening?
And then they have the whole shot where he's going to get on the subway, and it's like the dystopian early 90s subway stations where none of the lights work. There's just homeless people everywhere. Like, this dude is shooting up in the corner. Yeah. It's like, this is where teenagers go to hang out.
Everyone is like skating in places where you're like, why would anyone be skating right here?
They're all out on their rollerblades, whipping around.
She's on rollerblades in so much of the movie that you're like, why would you ever?
I haven't been talking because I can't talk.
But I mean, even our introduction to I don't know his actual name, but the plague.
Fisher Stevens, but his actual name,
character's name I can't remember.
Eugene.
It's Eugene. It's something nerdy. We're
call me the plague.
Call me the plague. But we're introduced to Eugene, right?
Yeah.
Where their server's being hacked, apparently in just the other room, one room away.
Right. Where he has his apartment next to it.
There's a single door separating you from the server room, and he wakes up like, Eugene, we've got a problem. Call me the plague.
The plague.
Rolls out of bed to get on a skateboard. To skate into the next room to get into his chair. And like, this is what the 90s thought was like the coolest of the cool. If he had skated past 2 kids playing Crossfire with a song playing in the background, this would have been like as 90s
Honestly,
as it gets.
if you've never seen this movie, that Crossfire commercial is this movie.
Yes, 100%.
If the Crossfire game was about hacking, that would be the movie.
That would be it. They need to make a movie for Crossfire.
They did, I think, actually.
But I also have to say, I love the like the kid hangout that they have, which is basically just the upgraded version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, they just reused that set. They had to have.
This is I didn't write this trivia down, but that was basically in London. There was this place they shot at that had this swimming pool, but the swimming pool, they found out after they built the set around it, was designated a historical monument for some reason. So they had to be extremely careful with everything they did with the pool. And I was like, what? How did you not know this before you built this warehouse around it? There's I'm going to hit a little bit of trivia real quick. Yeah. Okay. Just because some of it, I was like, what? there's not enough as much as I thought there would be.
There should be so much trivia about this film.
One kind of like production thing, just to talk about how like it's an interesting look in 1995 time, right? The hacking sequences, specifically where they're going through,
They're flying the trenches.
they were all they were inside of a computer, or mostly motion controlled models, because
I was gonna
Ian
say
Softly, he said the computer graphics would look too artificial in this scene.
Yeah.
Which is like, wow, what a high bar stance to
At
take.
this point, this is too much. We can't. No one believes it.
This man said, whoa, that's gaudy.
We just had the bad guy come by to pick up a data disk by riding a skateboard, holding on to a limo.
Yeah.
But that's too far.
I will say though, the overhead shot, like initial of like treating like New York City as like all the computer components,
circuit
stuff,
boards.
That's really cool.
That was
really cool.
Really
cool.
I rewound it and was like, whoa. And I watched, if you look, you can see that the cars are being pulled like on a string.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a mod, but like every time I've seen that movie until this one, I thought that was just a shot of New York.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it looks like
it is really well done.
Yeah,
I was like,
very well done.
like am I going to be like impressed by this? No, I wasn't.
Speaking of, you were like, wow, we're off to such a cool. Wait a minute. Speaking of New York, all I can see now whenever we watch, I'm going to say older films.
Yeah.
This is almost 30 years old. It counts.
Two Towers.
They do flyby shots of like New York. And it's like, man, this costs so much to put this helicopter in the air and do this. And it just looks terrible. The shot looks like there's so much smog coming off New York. Like it just looks terrible. Yeah.
So, okay, talking specifically about like the hacking, because my perception of this has always been like, this is almost 100% fake. Like this is all just whatever, gobbledygook. Actually, a lot of it's real.
Oh man! So when he calls the security guard and is like, "Hey, yeah, you know, like I'm Jim.
Like the social engineering.
Social engineering.
Like, that's like book, by the book.
Yeah.
Perfect hacking.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes something else.
The film's writer, director, and some of the cast members attended New York City 2600 meeting, which was a monthly hangout of a local hacker community so they could observe and talk with real-life hackers to develop the dialogue and understand. And I was like, so wait a minute.
So what you're saying is Matthew Lillard is method acting right now?
Were there real people that were doing this? So then the Arf Arf Gotcha, which appears near the end when they're hacking the mainframe, is a reference to actually one of the earliest Trojan horse programs called EGA BTR from 1985. It was disguised as a graphics utility, and it would spread by what would be early email at the time in 85, would wipe out everything on the hard disk and leave only the message, arf, arf, gotcha. So that's like based on an actual virus. The Cookie Monster virus is also an actual virus that was from that era, from like the 90s. Yeah. That would come on screen, and the only way you could stop it is you could type cookie, and if you typed Oreo, it would stay gone longer. There were certain things.
I kind of remember that when that was a thing.
I vaguely remember this. So so this was obviously like around 2000-ish when AIM or AOL Instant Messenger was a thing.
Huge.
And you could basically send your friends trainers or basically viruses. Yeah. And you could take over their AIM account and that kind of stuff.
Or you could do like early stage DDoS attacks.
Yeah.
With like the kick. The kicks programs. So
give me the kick.
Let me tell you, early hacking, just because at the time there was just so little of importance actually stored on computers, was really kind of innocent and fun. Mm-hmm. Of course, obviously, by the time you reach the 90s, it's more important.
That's when you had like crew databases for banks and that kind of stuff.
But also, like, imagine like putting this film is made in basically the same, it's set and made in the same era as like a film like Sneakers.
Yeah.
And like the comparison between what hacking is.
Just imagine Robert Redford in Sneakers, but in Hackers.
He puts on a single eye covering thing in a payphone. I'm in.
Flips it down.
The one thing I'll say about like the filmmaking techniques and stuff is another shot that I caught this time that I've never caught on another one is early when he's hacking with Acid Burn and they're both trying to take over that TV station. Yeah. They did a shot underneath plexiglass with him fake typing on top of plexiglass to make it look like the camera was underneath his keyboard looking up.
It's a good shot.
And I was like, "Oh, that's actually a really good shot." Like it works. You see his face, you see the fingers, and there's no way to do that practically without doing it on top of
that whole sequence of the back and forth between them with like the dueling tape decks with like the different cuts of film interspersed in it.
Yeah, of like
It's
people
actually
like
really
fighting
good.
with fencing and that kind of stuff. Yeah, like it's like those kind of moments. I'm like, oh, this is like actually not that bad. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's still like.
But like it for the lane it's in.
Yeah,
it's really well done for like whatever that niche could be. You know? Like,
it's really well executed for what they're going for right there. Yeah, this movie, unironically, I think has moments of brilliance that pop out.
Yeah.
Then there are moments of just pure absurdity, and then there's moments of just like, what? Who thought this is what hacking? This is, I think, the thing that clicked for me was like, this is not even a stuffy Hollywood CEO being like, this is what hackers are. This is a fantasy movie.
Yeah.
This is like an alternate reality of like where hackers are met with like level 6 SWAT team responses. I love the one where in the morning the kid gets up, his mom raises the blinds, and 12 officers come through with AKs right in their face, like, get down! Like a hacker could go, hold on. Like start typing and like explode the world or something.
But at the same time, like that sequence happens, right? And it's so insanely over the top. And when the kid's in trouble and his mom starts slapping,
he's like, arrest me!
He's like, you take me away already? Like even within that little bit, there's a great moment in it. It's just the sheer insanity of it.
Also, the awesome idea that there's these two hacker dudes that run this like underground network TV show.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's so cool.
It kind of reminds me of UHF for Weird Al.
Little bit,
yeah.
But then they go to them for help, and they're able to like hack the planet. And then you see the people from UK, people from Japan. The world is coming. I was like,
they hit like every continent except Antarctica. Nobody cares about Antarctica.
No.
So I will say, okay, when I was watching this, about halfway through the film, I was like, this is just Tokyo Drift.
In what way?
You said that. He said that in one of our chats.
Like I kid you not. So you have like the kind of just like the kid that does stuff bad at the beginning of the film and then gets reprimanded
in
for
trouble,
it. In trouble. Then he has to go to a new place and like make new friends. And he's trying to stay out of the world, right?
Right, but he's just too good at hacking.
He's just too good at hacking, or
too good at drifting.
Yeah, too good at drifting.
Yeah.
And then you have like where he's still trying to stay on the edge, but then he meets people that are like pulling him back in. You know,
the underground.
Like I kid you not, Tokyo Drift is just hackers with cars.
It is.
Yes.
Just like Fast and the Furious is Point Break with cars.
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift is hackers with cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind as I was watching. I'm like, now I understand why I like this movie. So, like as I was watching Hackers, I was like, oh, this is just Tokyo Drift.
Right.
I can get behind this.
I can grok this.
Because like both main characters are just planks.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Absolute
well,
plank of
especially
wood.
when you're surrounded by Serial by Matthew Lillard, who is just every time he steps on screen, I'm
Insane.
like, what is this?
Who
Then
dressed you this morning, small child?
You've got Nikon, who has photographic memory. He's doing his thing. You've got Joey, played by Jesse Bradford, in like one of his earliest roles. He's smoking like a freight train.
He's got two cigarettes.
Two cigarettes at one
He's
point.
like, I'm not addicted to anything. I need some more coffee.
He's in, like rehab, drinking coffee. I'm not addicted to hacking. I'm not like you weirdos. And I'm like, what is this scene? What are they trying to say? Then you've got, the kid that plays Freak, who that's where his mom's beating him up. He's like, just arrest me already. They assemble such a weird cast of characters that like all of them are so different too.
Yeah.
Like they're, and the Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie's character of Dade and Kate are kind of predictably the most grounded, I guess, because they have to be for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
And what's ironic is that like they met on set, they got married like a year later, and they were married for like 4 years together.
Wait,
Angelina
really?
Jolie, and Johnny Lee Miller, 100%. Which is like, because for me, there's almost no chemistry between them on screen.
Like, this dude is like, so I made this terrible movie Hackers, but got married out of it to Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, it says they were married shortly after making this film, and they were divorced 4 years later.
That's insane.
Isn't it though?
Insane.
Because
on
there's
screen,
like
I'm
negative
like, chemistry.
There's nothing here.
Negative.
So
the whole time he's a creep.
He's just a creep. Yeah.
I do like the scene where after basically she sends him up to the pool or to the roof, and then he goes back in school and he sets off the sprinklers
where
with
he's
the
looking
umbrella.
at his
I love
watch.
that. That's
guess
a good
the
little
pool
scene.
sprung a leak.
Yeah,
But like he's checking his watch and then he flips the umbrella up and Freak is like, "What are you doing, man?" Just
Yeah.
Which again, classic. The water perfectly clean.
There are so
never would
many.
be.
There's so many fun little like ways that they hack things, especially when they're going after Agent Gill. When they're like, that one dude comes to the table and just cuts his credit card. with the
There would
scissors.
be like you would get sued so
Oh my gosh.
like, into the Stone Age if you were a server and just walked over and you're like your car was denied. Clip.
But like, I feel like that was a thing in commercials in the 90s.
was,
Like
it was,
American
yeah.
Express would like show a dude put his like Discover down and get cut in half and
Yeah.
then we don't accept Discover. Like American Express accepted ever or whatever, you know? It's like, so that was just a thing of the 90s where it was like, oh man, if your credit card got declined, they'll cut it in half. You gotta watch out.
As a server, you just carry around scissors.
And then to me, like Mark Anthony, he played Agent Ray.
I was like, is that Mark Anthony?
Mark Anthony's in this, and he's completely underutilized.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's one
he
scene.
seems great, and then it's just they just don't do
He's
it.
there, and you're like, oh wow, I can't wait to see what they do with Mark Anthony. And they do nothing. He sneaks into that one party, like, hello,
That's
fellow
like the
teens.
last time you see him.
And then nothing. Yeah, and you're like, what was there supposed to be like a B plot with him?
It's possible there was a cut scene, maybe.
Yeah.
And then
For
you got
time.
Lorraine Bracco is Margot. She's the lady that's dating the plague.
Oh, okay.
Right? Which is what a
okay.
twist, right? Like she's there, and then you're like, okay, she's like, he's like, and that's another thing that this movie's so unhinged is that this oil company,
Minerals and oil.
Minerals and
yeah.
Oil is like, let's hire a hacker to be on our payroll, like top payroll.
Yeah.
The plague. He comes skating into everything. He talks down
Shows the board meeting
to
on a
everyone.
skateboard.
to everyone. And then this lady who is just like a corporate person,
A VP or whatever,
is
yeah.
in love with him. Like question mark, something's happening. And then like,
He was offering her $25 million.
but it's just wild. And you got
Andrew's
Penn-
like, I could be in love with the plague. For
I mean,
25
hey,
million.
25 mil. Let's go.
no kidding. It's just what a weird this movie assumes that hackers are like rock stars.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it treats it like
I mean, because it was at the like kind of the peak of a lot of like the really early development of what modern computers would be.
Well, it had like
Yeah.
an element of mysterious to it. Not,
Yeah,
not
so-
everyone had a home computer. You
So
know?
everyone
Yeah.
was kind of like, ooh, this is like really cool.
yeah.
And, unfortunately, it's just not what the reality is.
Right. But like again, to go back a little bit to like when they're hacking, the agents thing, and they're like, he's deceased. He's not on the payroll anymore.
Yeah.
And like that whole competition where they're like one upping each other is just like one of the best sequences of the movie because it's
Yeah.
just like it's so fun
utterly
to
insane.
see.
But it is really cool where it's like, okay, the objective is to make his life terrible, and they come up with really inventive ways
They
to
do,
do it.
yeah. Like just
Yeah.
minor inconveniences that turn into major inconveniences.
Listing him on like
Yeah.
the kink forums. Or
Yeah, he keeps getting the calls. He's like, "Oh no!"
But then like, they also show, like again, good hacking where like Nikon goes into the office building like he's delivering a bouquet to someone.
Oh, yeah.
But he's
Yeah.
like looking over people's shoulders to see what they're entering in to see like
He's getting
passwords
passwords and stuff.
And then Matthew Lillard is questionably underneath the desk tapping
yeah,
the
He
phone
gets
line.
up and his butt's just hanging
hanging
out of
out?
his pants. Like that's what scenes just happen in this movie.
We
You're
implied,
like, what?
we implied something totally different was happening under this desk. And he gets out, he pulls his pants up because he's got plumber's crack going on.
Yeah.
It's like, was it just literally Matthew Lillard forgot the belt that day? And they're just like, only one cut, only one take. We're
They
done
cut
with
back and the
this.
director's like, "It works. It's perfect.
Just let it roll. Pull your pants up, Matthew.
Pull them up." There's something else I was gonna say. All the representations of hacking, like we talked about,
Yeah.
going in. The projections on their faces
Oh, no.
of like what's on the screen
Yeah.
sometimes, and then they have like the sigmas
I just
and like
imagine all the actors just staring into this light.
like a projector.
There's just blind TV, 10,000 lumens.
Yeah, just like blowing it out.
Well, it's just all I see whenever I see that is the sequence from Sneakers.
Yeah.
Right? And that is like the music hits at the right moment, the way it lands on his
Yeah.
glass. Like everything about that scene is perfect.
But he has glasses
It's
on.
glasses,
But,
yeah.
but he has like blind, like the big
Yeah.
grandma. You used to have like
Yeah.
the ad, spy him on the TV ad glasses on.
Yeah.
But all these people have like these tiny little glasses. Like we're gonna catch a reflection in this.
Yeah. I love too the server room where like him and Penn Jillette.
Penn Jillette's in this film. What?
His name's Hal. I'm like, that's got to be a reference to 2001.
Of course it is. But they have all the arcing between like the
There's
servers.
like lightning hitting the servers.
What's a server room like? It's like 2 parts technology and 3 parts Dr. Frankenstein's lab.
And then again, the Plague's keyboard is just like holes cut out of plexiglass, and he's just like smushing his fingers on
it.
It
makes like these like heavy duty sounds when he's pushing them.
Yeah.
I kid you not. Every time you say the Plague, and I know that you mean a character in the film, my brain gets triggered where I'm just like, the Plague.
The Plague.
COVID.
So I will say, like, the music in this movie is kind of hit or miss, but there's some really good tracks. Obviously, the Prodigy one that we played earlier.
Sure, yeah.
And every time
I'll say this about the music. It's very one-dimensional. It is mid-90s trance techno.
So pop, yeah.
Hit or miss. It is what it is.
Back in the day, like 2002 to about 2007 or 8,
Yeah.
there was a, do you remember Winamp?
Yeah.
Yeah, like so
Obviously.
Winamp had,
Who doesn't?
Winamp had Shoutcast Radio, which basically just let you tune into radio channels all around the world that were also just transmitting on Winamp for online or whatever. And there was an all trance all the time station that was in Australia. And I kid you not, I listened to that thing on I just kept it on for just days.
While you were hacking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely hacking.
So speaking of like the songs and hit or miss and like that era, right? The opening song, like when it hits, always I was like, that sounds very familiar. It's the closing song from the Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh,
that's why.
Yes.
That movie, Mortal Kombat, came out 1 month before Hackers, and they were so mad because that movie ends with that song, and this movie starts with that song.
Hilarious.
So what you're saying is it's like the sequel to Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
It's
If you watch those movies back to back,
universe.
it just it kind of starts off with that vibe.
So I will. This is just a Mortal Kombat thing. So there was a moment in time where I was going down to Gulf Shores with a family friend, basically, and they were super rich.
Yeah.
They had a minivan, and they had like a 19-inch CRT TV in the van.
Oh my gosh.
So they could entertain the kids.
Oh, you loaded with this.
We watched.
That sounds like if you got into a wreck, it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
VHS is everywhere.
Or just a CRT.
A CRT
over your
smashed over your kid's head.
But we watched Mortal Kombat on the way down.
That's incredible.
And I vividly remember this because it wasn't like a TV in the
it was just sitting in the van.
A CRT TV in the van.
How are they powering it?
They had like a converter.
Wow.
Yeah, these people.
It's got its own battery.
loaded.
It's got like a second car battery in the back. It's just for the TV. Okay. Real quick. Because we don't have to talk about Hackers all day. I think this is a freaking hilarious movie.
Amazing.
What are some other just random scenes that are popping into y'all's heads? We've talked about the hacking. We've talked about
honestly, just the limo scene with him just ghost riding outside the car was so out there. I had to rewind it because I was like, did I miss something?
Right, no. So
why is he outside the car?
The last time I watched Hackers was probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and I had
recently. Wow.
Yeah, well, because I had a few friends.
I haven't seen this
came down from Minnesota, and they were hanging out.
First thing you wanted to do was watch Hackers.
Well, Bobby, don't you know? They're like, you want to put on Fargo? You're like, no, man.
No,
Hackers.
We were at the house.
Let me educate you.
We were trying to find something to just put on while we were hanging out.
Yeah.
And we were going through, and at that point it was on Netflix, and so I just pulled up Netflix, and Netflix knows me. My algo is like, to the bone. It goes, Hackers? And I go, have y'all ever seen Hackers? And they were like, no. I looked at my wife. I go, have you ever seen Hackers? And she goes, no. I go, everybody buckle up. Now, we were a couple of drinks in by this point. I go, y'all hang on. I played it. People spit their drinks out. When the scene happens with him ghost riding the whip, my friend went like literal spit take because he was like, what is happening? And then he goes right back to ghost riding the whip, and he rolled into the floor and continued to laugh as the scene transitioned.
So this movie is
so stupid.
An absolutely phenomenal. Hang out with friends. You don't know what to do. You've had a few beers. Just put Hackers on.
Put Hackers on. You will never have a bad time. Especially if you know anything about computers, if you're even tangentially aware of IT or anything, like this is like your movie, man.
The scene, so the final in the finale, right? They're doing all the hacking in Grand Central or whatever. And it puts them in the individual phone booths.
Oh,
and it rotates them.
They rotate it, and it's crossfading between them. I was like, that's one of those perfect examples of like, this is cheesy and bad, but it's executed so well that I love it.
This is one of these things where it's like, this is actually, with the technology of the time, this is kind of hard to do.
I'm looking at going, I'm actually impressed.
Your cinematographer right now is flexing for no reason.
It's
just
like,
no reason
just
whatsoever.
on paper, they're like montage, circling shot, background is the subway, but they're spinning, and it's like, and the guy's like, I don't even know how we're going to pull this off. And then he's like, rotate it, spin it, cross dissolve, move the camera.
They're like
he's just like working with a piece of art. He's just oil painting all over.
We need to show them typing in these booths, but like that's not interesting enough. And like,
how do we amp this up?
Hold on. I've had this idea in my head for like 4 years.
The cinematographer,
this is my moment.
Comes up from doing a line of cocaine.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've got it.
So just piggybacking off that scene, just one of my favorite lines is there, so Dade gets kicked out, right? He's like, oh, he got me. Yeah. And then he looks over at the young kid, the chain smoker.
Joey.
Joey. And he's like, you're the closest. You need to do it. I'm like, you're all in a computer. Like, what are we doing here?
You're the closest. And then he gives him a file path. Yeah. Everyone is equally close to this file path. Just type it in.
Also, I love at the front of that where like it shows everyone's computer. Some people are on Macs. Some people are on other. Everyone has a bespoke operating system that they've created. I'm like, what are we talking about?
Nikon fires up with Nikon's logo. Like, all I saw was like, I wonder how much Nikon paid for that.
Right.
How much did Apple pay for this? Like,
how much did they give them to be like, we want to be a part of this movie. We gotta be.
This is the cutting edge of technology. We're all technology. We have to be in this.
There's so many quotes. I'm trying to think of some
Hack
of
the Planet's the classic.
Hack the Planet.
The bit where he's handcuffed. They handcuff him, but he's still holding a disc in his hand. He has to have had that in his hands to be handcuffed like that. And they just left it in his hand. He just flicks it into a trash can.
Like, it's the Secret Service / SWAT team question
FBI,
mark.
we don't know. And then somehow Matthew Lillard goes dumpster diving through, like, we don't know. How many trash cans are in Grand Central Station? As many as it took to find the disc.
And then you got mess with the best, die like the rest.
Oh, man.
Spandex, it's a privilege, not a right. So is it? Because you're wearing a holster in the middle of it.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a hilarious line. The bit when they're in like the cool kids hangout with the fancy arcade that Kate has all the high scores on or whatever. Yeah. The sequence where it shows the high score.
Oh, and it's bouncing
and it's crushing the other scores as it goes. That's awesome. Whoever designed that, that's amazing.
I love that the video game they're playing is just Wipeout from PlayStation, but like an early mock-up of what they thought Wipeout would be.
Also, when they show that from the far cut, the first sequence where he sees her over there playing the game, I really thought she's like in like this pedestal, like upright. I thought, oh, this is one of those things where as the car moves, it's going to move with her.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't. She's just standing there.
She's just standing there.
Screen.
Yeah.
I was like, what a missed opportunity.
I honestly want to say that they probably picked the same thing that they had on set for Richie Rich.
Yeah.
No, Blank Check. Blank Check.
Yeah. I love when the plague comes in. It may be the scene where he skateboards in and he says, "Never fear, I is here."
And then also just like the random, we
it's just played so straight.
Yes,
totally I just like
dead serious. Oh, the bits too where it's just like they're all like oogling over this laptop in Katie's room, and she and her boyfriend are just over on the bed making out. Yeah, and they're also like, "Oh crap!" They're just over there making out,
and they just keep looking at the laptop.
And they like disturb them, so they stop making out, and she starts getting interested in talking about the computer, and her boyfriend's just like, "Don't go all hacker on me," and she just like kicks him out of the room, and like I guess breaks up with him at that moment. It's like, I'm gonna hang out with my
never seen again.
Yeah, it just disappears.
It's like, did he get picked up in an FBI SWAT raid and he's just in jail? I don't know.
And there's that one line where it's like, what's his deal? And it's like, his parents missed Woodstock and he's been making up for it ever since. I'm like, what does that even mean?
There are so many lines that if I guess maybe you were from the right era, would just hit like a ton of bricks. And for me, I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh, what is it? The plague says, there is no right and wrong. There is only fun and boring. And he's like walking around and he's got like the vest with like the leopard on it. He's got the freaking, he's like costumes in this movie.
$25 million sounds fun. 30 years in prison sounds boring. I think I'll let them take the fall. Just dead as serious as a heart attack.
Just
my god,
eating it up like soup. It was so good. Okay, real quick.
This film is so bad.
It's so bad, but like I really genuinely enjoy it every time I watch it because I laugh. I like to put, I will say this, it's good to put a few years in between watches.
Yeah.
Just so you forget a lot of the stuff.
You gotta let it
simmer.
Yeah.
Because like last night, it had been, again, it's been 2 or 3 years since I've seen it. Before that, it was probably like 10 years. But I had forgotten enough to where when I started playing it and scenes started happening, I was like, oh no, I forgot.
No. It's been at least 15 years.
Right.
And my wife, there are certain sequences where she'd just be like, ugh, that it was gonna that this happens on screen, right?
Yeah.
And there'd be moments where they'd be doing something, I'd just start laughing. She'd be like, what? And then boom, there's the scene. Like all these
You could feel it coming.
These memories rushing back. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen, but I know you're gonna hate it.
Yeah. It's just so cringy. There's so many okay.
It's so 90s. Everything's extreme and radical.
Real quick, would you recommend Hackers?
100%.
Absolutely.
Look, if you want to come down and hang out with us and have a beer and put this on, I'm in.
Without a doubt, I will definitely watch this again.
Oh
Yes.
man, I would love to stage like a Rocky Horror Picture Show style viewing of Hackers at like a big theater.
Everyone shouts,
with, like,
hack the planet.
Everybody dress up, bring your own hacker name, dress like you're from the 90s. Let's get drunk and watch Hackers on a big screen
That
together.
would be amazing.
That would be honestly
we
legit.
need to get with like Sidewalk Theater or someone.
Let us do this. Cowards.
Just reserve a theater for Sidewalk Film Festival.
Hack the planet.
It's just the Hack the Planet hackathon for the next 24 hours. This is all.
Oh god.
we reserve it as like some kind of like, Ingmar Bergman, like Criterion Channel. We're gonna watch it, but we tell everybody we're hacking the planet. Show up, and then there's that one guy on the front. Oh, bro, what? All of a sudden, the hacker starts playing.
Well, again, the first couple of shots, you might be like, "Whoa, this could be a real film."
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think that I would obviously rewatch it. I find great delight in this movie.
We could talk about this probably endlessly.
My cheeks hurt. So let's wrap this up. Thank you for listening to this Roundtable episode about Hackers. Thanks to all of our patrons. If you want to support us, Patreon is the easiest way to do it. It's $1 a month. You get all of our bonus episodes. Blah, blah, blah.
It's the most direct way to support the show.
We really appreciate it.
And you get a lot of fun stuff in there, Chat GPT is definitely relevant to this one.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Would have blown their minds in the 90s.
Also, if you want to discuss Hackers with us, get on Discord. You can talk with us there. We have social media. We have Instagram and Facebook. All that good stuff. But until next time, I'm Ryan.
I'm Big Acrylic.
I'm smarter than a Pentium.
Sounds like a weird industry. Big Acrylic. And every spoiler has been intended.